Hey guys, thank you so much and welcome to the Game Your Future podcast. I'm Daniel, here to help everybody level up their life through gaming, right? Helping gamers realize their full potential because you can get the impact and the income you're looking for because of the games you play. And so I have a very fun guest for us today. This is Rob Wheeler, and Rob goes by Coach Rob, right? And really helping turn how do we say turning pain into progress, right? And really helping men especially get unstuck in their lives and help them move forward. So Rob, thank you so much and welcome. How are you?
I'm awesome. Thanks for having me here today.
Awesome. So tell us a little bit about your journey as far as what you're doing now, and then we'll kind of wind back as far as how we got started with that. So tell us about turning, pain into progress.
What I do is I help men 30 and over get unstuck in their lives. And when I mean turning pain into progress, I just basically mean the discomfort that we feel in our lives, especially as men. A lot of times we feel like we have a higher calling, or, we have those boots we need to fill as far as if we're a husband, a father, a leader, things that we want to do to be successful and share that success with our family and our kids. And a lot of times, especially today in society with everything going on, we're stuck in autopilot, right? A lot of times we just get stuck in that job or stuck in that bad relationship or stuck in that financial rut. So my goal is to objectively look at everything that that person is going through and then come up with a game plan to help them get out of that rut through my three pillars of fitness, mindset, and discipline.
Fantastic. So being able to get out of that rut and getting out of the autopilot, because that's something that's, I'll say, near and dear to my heart as far as being stuck personally in kind of like that corporate career setting for, gosh, more than a decade, and finally being able to get out of that rut, right? It's not easy, right? And it takes like a lot of shifts in mindset to try to get there. So I'd love to hear your story as far as, were you stuck in a rut that you had to get out of that autopilot, or what's maybe an example that you've helped somebody else get off of autopilot?
Yeah, definitely. That's a great question. So, I would say specifically I deal with a lot of men's mental health issues, as we talked backstage. And, mental health is a huge component of why we feel, how we feel, what we do, the things that we do, being stuck essentially. And as someone who is a 10-year Navy veteran, former police officer of over 17 years, I was in that mental hell all day, every day. Like I was a very negative, angry, sad person. And I wasn't mad at the world. I was just mad at myself because I couldn't figure out how to get unstuck and how to get out of this hole of this mental chaos that I was going through. So once I found that route through the things that I currently do, which is a complete approach, you can't just take like one thing or the other. You have to do a little bit of everything. I knew that I really wanted to extend that to other men. I think, as a man, being a man, my definition is kind of more of the old school method of being a leader and a protector and a provider, and trying to change the theories on how people feel about masculinity. I'm a very vulnerable man. I don't mind expressing how much mental health has hurt my life and helped my life. I don't mind crying if it comes to that, and showing that vulnerability, but also tough enough where I can protect my family. I can do harm to bad people if need be, things like that. And just try to have that. It's all about having a purposeful life. I think a lot of times as men, we lose that purpose that we want, that passion. For you, your passion for gaming and this podcast. For me, my passion for coaching and my podcast, and trying to spread the message of how people overcome adversity and can fight these battles, these demons, these struggles, and have the life they want. So it's definitely been evident in my own life with everything I've been through and do continue to go through.
That's fantastic. So having that level of understanding with especially with that gaming lens, and I suppose like I love to bring to this where having that level of achievement and the tenacity to drive to move forward we have as gamers, but we seem to, I guess, pigeonhole it into the games, and it's being able to break that out. And so I'd love to hear some of those kind of stories. I guess, do you have experience with gaming, and have you seen some of these kind of parallels?
Yeah, I mean, so I am a gamer. I have this big vision of someday, like all the lovely TikTok streamers to stream games and people watch me play games and do the things I enjoy, the culture of gaming, of comic books, of trading card games, like an overall, I guess, nerd or geek. Like I am top of the class in that list,
Absolutely.
and love all those things because not only do they help with mental health, they help with an escape, but yes, things you can apply. The hero's journey, a lot of games start with that protagonist character, that hero. For instance, one of your questions is like, what was one of your favorite games? One of my favorite games of all time is the Elder Scrolls, the one where you can be a Dragonborn, and you can have the
Skyrim.
different,
Yep.
yeah, Skyrim. So Skyrim, one of my favorite all-time games, just from the inception of you're in, shackles, you're going to get executed, to escaping, to becoming a hero. That represents life, man. I mean, we all start at that basic point of nothing, and then it's up to us to take those quests, even those side quests in life that may show us our path to get to where we want to be.
Yes, exactly right. Because the hero's journey is just so powerful, just whether, movies, games, everything, that narrative, but being able to help, on the individual level, right? To say like, yeah, you're going through this too. There's a reason the stories, that they use the hero's journey are so powerful because it just that echoes to like kind of our own, life and how we want to progress and part of that, right? Just that need to contribute, that need to grow, that need to just be a part of something is just kind of inherent to everyone. And so everybody has different ways of going about it, but being stuck at the beginning, being kind of downtrodden, and then overcoming that adversity to move forward is so huge. So what is it, or I'll say using that gaming kind of example, right? So a lot of gamers might not see that difference or they don't use it in their daily lives. So coming from that coach perspective, I'd love to hear kind of maybe some examples that people can think about as far as if they're gaming and say like, well, how can I improve, how can I get out of the rut, right? Examples like what kind of frameworks would you have around that?
So that's an amazing question. I actually created this thing. It's called a character development sheet. So when we play, if you play Dungeons and Dragons or role playing games, or even games like Skyrim, where you can create your character, we can create our characters. We can create our version of what we want to be. So in my character development sheet that I created, that I actually use in my coaching, it says like, what's your archetype? What kind of person do you want to be? How do you want to see yourself? Just like if you were building your character in the game, but you're just building yourself for real life. And I think a lot of games can mirror that because, you know, even for maybe someone that's scared to put themselves out there, they can get lost in that game and they can create that character as crazy as they want to make it look, and that can be their persona. Now they just have to figure out how can they take that persona in the game and bring that out into the world to share that with their community and their people.
Yeah, that's so I love the idea of a character development sheet. So just being able to start and just being able to choose, right? Like what you want to do. Because I think there's a lot of aspects of that were again, people have those kind of assumptions, right? They have in the mindset space, we like to call it the limiting beliefs, right? To say
Exactly.
where it's like, well, I'm this way, and therefore that's all I am. And it's like, well, no, you can change, right? So similar to a game where you can grow, earn experience, get new skills, change, and depending on the game that you're playing, completely switch classes at some point or have
I was
multiple.
just gonna say that, and a lot of games, if you want to respec, you can respec. It doesn't mean that's the end of the game. You just respec so you can be better. So why can't we respec in life?
Exactly. I like to use the term new game plus for our own lives, right? Where every time when we move from whether it's from from school into a job or even going from one job to another, say you get laid off, something like that, and you have to move and you have to get a new job. Well, you get to bring yourself with you and you get to bring the skills that you've learned along the way, right? So you're never really starting over. So you're just adding to the list of skills that you already have. Right?
You're just putting that life on hard mode, right?
Exactly right. That's been the fun quote that I heard from a friend is that life is just, playing a game and building a business especially is just playing a game on Iron Man mode, no resets, no reloads, and on the slowest, speed possible. All it is. So okay. So tell us a little bit about the different skills maybe that you've noticed in your own life, because this is one of those things that I love to showcase for our listeners to say, what skills do I have as a gamer? So I'll ask, so being a gamer yourself, what have you noticed you maybe either as compared to others or that has been helpful in your business as far as your success? What skills would you say you have?
I would think most gamers would have some form of creativity because, to games is a creative process, playing video games is a creative process. How we build our character, if we go into that deep dive of researching what's the best class. So gaming also helps with that, with research and learning, because I don't know about you, but for me as a gamer, a lot of times if I'm so in tune, so like Elden Ring, I went down this deep dive of Elden Ring where I had to find the best weapons, the best classes, the best. I got tired of dying, right? Like I was getting wiped out every time. I'm like, no, I want to enjoy this game. So I had to find what worked from going to that community of gamers and taking that information. So research, I think, comes very important from gaming. Uh, just being a visionary, like having this imagination. You're in these worlds, you're playing these games, especially if a game has a very good rooted story. Like if you're into that game and you're playing and you just want to get to that next cutscene because the story's so good, that creates that creativity and visionary kind of life within us, right? Like I love to draw. Part of Battle Fitted is my own clothing line. I've designed my own shirts. A lot of stuff I've gotten creative wise has come from gaming, comics, movies, those things that I love.
That's super cool. So just taking that creativity into your life and just
Right.
whether just making even the merch is just awesome. That's super cool.
Thank you.
So tell me a little bit more about the visionary piece of it because I could definitely see the creativity. The research makes total sense. I haven't had anyone mention kind of the visionary piece of it. I'm very curious what your thoughts are on that.
It just, I guess, like for me, when I'm in that, and I think a lot of guys in general, not just, and maybe girls too, but guys, we go deep in that game, right? There's a lot of things that if you're married, you either have the wife that understands why you play games and she's okay with it because she knows you're not out doing drugs or going to the bar or cheating on them. And then you have the people that don't understand why we play games. And when I mean visionary, like I go in, like I'm in the game. When I'm playing the game, I'm in the game. I'm not distracted. Like this is my escape, right? And as I'm in this land, this world, or whatever my mission objectives are, and I'm listening to these stories, it just fills my brain with ideas, right? Like it's the same thing if I'm playing a game or even in the gym. A lot of times, I'll just let my mind wander, right? Because I'm not focused on, oh, I have to go to work today, or I have to go grocery shopping, or I have to pay bills. No, I'm lost between those two worlds. That's where some of my best ideas come. And I'll literally, like, if something comes in my brain and I'm like, oh man, I need to write down, I'll pause the game and I'll write it down. Same thing in the gym. I'll go on my phone, I'll write it down. So I think as far as a visionary perspective, being able to let your mind just kind of wander because you're not worried about the other stuff that's going on in your day to day allows you to be more creative and create those things that can later help us in our lives with our businesses.
That's great. So that to me sounds a lot like the flow state, if you're familiar with
Yeah,
that one.
yeah.
You'll have to help me remember the name of the guy that uh, Mikhail Csikszentmihalyi. I think I said that right. So for those that know that one, so the idea of flow, of getting into the state where you're quote in flow, where kind of time seems to fall away, and it's like the in games, right? The seems to happen way more often than it should, right? Where you're out to like 3 in the morning, you're like, oh crap, I'm still playing this game. I guess I should go to bed. So that kind of flow state is something
Right.
that I think that gamers maybe we don't necessarily have heard or called it that, but like I think that's absolutely something that we get into as part of that, just to because everything just kind of flows naturally and just really well. So I love that you can use that, and that I haven't heard many people being able to do that. At least take that from the game and say like, oh, well, I have a great idea for this, and you quickly write it down. So really cool. So is there anything in particular that has helped with that part of it? Because I think a lot of people they're in the flow state and it's limited to the game, where like I'm doing really well in the game, but then how does it come? Yeah, is there any thought process or anything that happens to help get it outside the game into these kind of ideas that you can write down?
I think it just depends a lot on, just I always make time. So one of the things that I do, and it's not normally daily anymore, it used to be, I make time to break away from whatever I'm doing to at least, even if I'm only going to play a game for like 20 minutes, maybe I'll get on Call of Duty and, I'll play like two, three matches. But taking that time, it's like, I guess a much needed break. Sometimes I'll go for a walk and being outside will cause that flow state. Just being able to take that break and really separate myself from, okay, I've been sitting at my desk all day. I've been trying to get, 20 coaching clients the past couple hours. I've been trying to produce this podcast. It's more not even really about the game, just the time spent being able to spend away as a break. I think a lot of times in business, we get so caught up in that we have to go, 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 go nonstop. And it's been proven that that nonstop grind doesn't work. You have to take those brief periods to reset. And one thing that's pretty cool when you own a business and you work from home and you have that time freedom, I might play games for an hour or two before the wife comes home. When she comes home, I'm spending time with her. So there's not that, why are you always playing games as soon as I come home? Or how come, I'm home and I want to spend time with you and you're playing games, but at the same time, we have that compromise where if it's a weekend and we're not busy and my boys are like, hey, can you jump on Call of Duty? I'm going to go jump on Call of Duty. Okay, yeah, have fun. And she understands I need that time with my friends to just have that camaraderie and kind of. So it's more, I guess, the stress relief perspective more than anything is just having that time to sit down and not worry. Gaming is just such a huge escape for me from the mundane 9 to 5 daily grind that we have to go through because I literally, forced or unforced, I've never thought about my problems while gaming. I've never said, oh crap, I got to pay this bill, or it's just such a huge escape.
Absolutely. The gaming just does so well for that because it really is this kind of the escape and kind of the de-stressor, right? Because like you said, that there is either it's reduced stress or like you said, the mundane, right? So it does. I feel like you're never bored playing games. It's always like fun, interesting, challenging to keep you engaged. That's one of those things that I never understood about people. It's like do nothing. It's like, well, I'll just sit and do nothing. It's like, well, you can play a game, and it's like you're still engaged and you're still having fun. The people that do nothing and are bored, I'm like, well, you're doing it wrong. So, but one aspect of your story that I absolutely wanted to hone in on, I think is super fascinating, is that level of time management. To say like, you're working on getting clients here, and then you have the time for gaming, and then the wife comes home, you spend time, and you have this prioritization really dialed in, and it sounds like the time management that goes along with that really helps. What kind of tips, I guess, that you could give, or strategy as far as making sure that you allocate that time properly and when it makes sense?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, one thing that I teach everybody or talk something about is exactly what you said, time blocking. And it's nothing more than for me being, former military, being a police officer, being very scheduled and rudimented. But anybody can do that with good habits and practice. So for me, it's like, okay, my non-negotiable is when I get up in the morning, I'm going to the gym. So I go to the gym, get that out of the way, come home. I'm like, okay, I write it down. I'm like, okay, 9 to 10 a.m. I'm a full-time student right now as well. So 9 to 10, I'm working on homework. 10 to 2, business. 2 to 3, gaming. So it's just a matter of writing it down and then sticking to that schedule with anything we want to accomplish, just like being a gamer. If you want to be a good gamer, you have to get those reps in. You have to get that practice in, right? So same thing with time blocking. You have to, any good habit has to be formed just like a bad habit. You just have to keep doing it over and over and over. So until it becomes automatic, just write it down. Write out a schedule, just like if you had to go to class, if you were back like in high school or whatever, and you had your periods, write out your periods and stick to that for, 2 weeks. And then you'll be surprised how much you're actually getting done versus being all over the place. If I didn't do that, I would be all over the place because I mean, my business is the coaching, it's a podcast, it's clothing, it's keynote speaking. That's a lot of things that all go together underneath my brand. And if I didn't lock it down and say, okay, Monday's just for coaching, Tuesday's just for clothing with the time blocking, I would never get anything done, man. I would just be all over the place.
Yeah, exactly right. There's having that kind of schedule to it, I think is really helpful. And the time blocking, that's definitely something I've done, I've worked on too, just to because otherwise you're right, time kind of gets away from you, right? If it's not structured in a way. So for me being, I'll say kind of, as, especially in the past, much more the procrastinator and not being as regimented with time. And I'd say for people like myself that are listening, you don't have to schedule every hour of the day or specifically what task you're doing at every moment, right? There's a reason they call them time blocks,
Right.
where it's like this is an area of time where you're going to focus on something, right? So this is like, like you said, like your business time, or at the morning, this is my gym time. Within that time, it's like how you do it is completely up to you. You have that
Right.
flexibility, right?
Definitely.
And I think that's where a lot of people maybe get stuck and get, I'll say scared of it to say like, wow, that's way too much structured time. That's way, like I don't even have my life anymore. It's suffocating. It's like, well, no, you get to be flexible with what you want, but it's one of those what do they call it? Like the counterintuitive things where when you put limits around it, right? Just like a box, it actually sparks more innovation, more creativity, and you'll actually get more done when you have these time-bound, sections of whether time blocking. It's a fascinating thing. Is that something that you've experienced yourself as far as like, if I limit my work to like this hour or this block of like 2 or 3 hours, suddenly you get a lot more done than if you had a full 8 hours and you just kind of worked.
Yeah, I mean, definitely it helps with burnout too, right? Because I'm not going to work. So, for instance, I'm writing a 90-day journal for my coaching program right now. And, you know, writing a journal with prompts and workouts, like it's a big project. I can either just keep working on it and get burned out and say, I don't want to do this anymore. Or I can say, okay, I'm going to work on this for 2 hours a day. And then I just leave it, go do something else and come back to it later. And then now I have new perspective. I'm refreshed. So I think that's huge as far as I think you like you said, people get scared that they think, oh, schedule, but I've had more time freedom from being scheduled versus if I just kind of did whatever whenever.
Yeah, exactly right. That's again, it's this counterintuitive thing, and guys, please try it if you haven't, because it is. I'll say it. It's weird that it works. It's like, wait a minute, how does this work? It absolutely works. And something else that really works that I wanted to echo that you mentioned, as far as just the action of taking those breaks and actually especially getting up, moving, right?
Mm.
Just the action of just sitting at a desk for hours a day is just. I know there's people that are like, oh yeah, sitting is the new killer or whatever. It's like, okay, yeah, that, but literally moving, literally changing your state, changing your position actually makes a huge difference. Not only like biologically, that a lot of people say, but like mentally, like your mind understands that we're doing something different now, and it refocuses as part of that, I think, like you said, you can't just focus on the same thing for 8 hours and expect to be productive, right?
Right.
So having those literal like movements and getting up, even if it's just simple as getting up and getting a drink of water, coming back, right?
Well, I mean, it's really simple, like you said. I don't always, this is where we're at now is my office. This is where I do my podcast recordings. This is where I do most of my work. But I don't always work from here. A lot of times I'll just airdrop something to my laptop. I might sit on the couch in the recliner and work. I might sit at my dining room table and work. Just that change of pace every so often. One, like you said, so we don't get burnt out. I live in a townhouse. I have two dogs that I have to walk. So I get outside and I walk my dogs twice a day. That gives me that 15, 20-minute break being outside. It's just, I think people, when I talk about like a lot of times, especially for me in fitness, nutrition, and all this stuff, people start to get really freaked out, right? They think you have to go 150% all in, balls to the walls. It's always just simple changes. It's just I teach everybody just be 1% better every day and those stack up over time and then you'll be better. People don't realize if you sit at a desk all day every day, if you could just get up during your lunch break and maybe walk 20 minutes, Just that alone, the benefits are insane. And it doesn't mean you have to have a gym membership. It doesn't mean you have to go lift heavy weights, like just some form of movement, some form of change of pace. Like we're not meant to just sit here and compound our spine and be hunched over all day at a desk typing away on a keyboard, like monkeys or something. So
Yeah. And I've definitely heard that the body, the human body is definitely meant for movement, right? It's designed to keep moving. So it's one of those things. I think even our cars, right, are designed that way. Like they're designed to be driven. Like if you live a car for like a few years just sitting, it's like, wow, there's a chance it ain't starting, right?
yeah,
So in the same way, the human body is designed to move. So let it, right? So don't just sit there for hours in a day. Uh, yeah, so having that change of pace, I think, is actually really cool and really interesting. Being able to focus in different areas or locations, right? Just being able to do it wherever you can, right? Because it
right.
avoids the burnout, because that's huge. Because I think keeping it varied and interesting is, I mean, that's definitely something very core to me. And I think for a lot of gamers that, they want to play different games, right? Different genres of games. I'm one of the people that it's hard to say a game that I don't like,
Me
right?
too.
Because I just like a wide variety of games.
Well, when you ask that question, what's your favorite game? I'm like
Right.
all of them. I mean,
All of
honestly,
them.
all of them because I have a Xbox Series X. I've always been an Xbox guy. That's where we do most of our gaming at. I have my PS5. I have a Nintendo Switch. I have a PS Portal. My brother had bought me. My dad, unfortunately, I see your Nintendo on the back. Growing up, I was like the first kid on the block to have a Nintendo. Unfortunately, he sold it like on eBay or something. But my brother bought me a console that plays Nintendo and Super Nintendo games. So I even have some classic gaming. And just like how I move around with work, like after this, I'm gonna play some Xbox for a little bit, but maybe later tonight I'm gonna be on that PS5 portal playing something else for 20, 30 minutes. Who knows?
There you go. Yeah, having that huge variety of games, I think, is just really cool because again, games just really draw you in with all these different, mechanics and making sure that you can get ahead and feel like you're achieving something, right? And that's definitely been a huge thing. Escapism even aside, it's that sense of progress, right? Most good games that I know of have that level of progress, whether it's XP levels, achievements, gear, items, whatever it is. Like you're always moving, and heaven forbid the story, right? It's progressing through the story. And so I think that's something that is so important to bring to our lives, right? That sense of progress, that sense of achievement. And I love what you're doing. So again, how I'm trying to help, and I think how you're trying to help, just helping gamers, especially men, just getting unstuck, right? Making progress, right? Moving forward.
There's one thing I definitely want to preface. If these gurus, these coaches, because there's a lot of high profile guys I follow, and a lot of them say video games are bad, and I would tell you, don't listen to them. Video games has not ruined my life. It didn't ruin my marriage. It didn't make me crazy or insane. I'm not out there trying to hurt people. And most men that do get in games is because they do want that escape. We're so stressed out and we struggle a lot with how we feel about ourselves and how we perceive ourselves. It gives us goal setting and achievements that we can achieve. There's nobody judging you, telling you you can't do this, you can't do that. Like there's a lot of benefits, even for me as someone who has mental health issues, to if I'm having a bad day, to get into that game to kind of take me out of that bad mood or put me in a different mindset shift. So video games aren't bad, just like everything else. Everything in moderation. Don't freaking tell your wife you're gonna play games and you're on there, 24 hours and 2 a.m. you're just going to bed and before you know you have to shower, get to work.
Yeah.
Um, I used to be there with World of Warcraft back in the day. Luckily, I got out of that that cult, so to speak.
No, yeah. The MMOs, man, they're the time sinks for sure.
But yeah, if you haven't tried a game or been into gaming because you're afraid of what people will think or you're scared, give it a shot, man. That doesn't even age. I'm 47. I've been playing games since Atari. That just to date myself. So just having that escape and that passion to have that fun, man, it's a beautiful thing.
Absolutely. And I'm not far behind you too. So that I've been around at least, and you can see it, the Nintendo generation right there. And I can't think of a better way to wind it down. I think that's been so valuable, Rob. And thank you so much for this. And so, Coach Rob, where can people find out more about you and connect with you if they're interested?
So my biggest platform currently is Instagram, and that's just at Battlefitted. You can literally find me anywhere at Battlefitted, TikTok, Twitter, I think LinkedIn. But then the other best place to link up with me, where you can find my podcast, clothing, everything, is battlefittedbrand.com. That's just battlefittedbrand.com, all one word.
Perfect. And we'll have the links for you guys in the description as well. Definitely check out Coach Rob. This has been fantastic. Rob, thank you so much for being here. This has been just so much fun just talking about games and all the different things that happen as a result. And would love to talk more. And guys, if you're interested, definitely leave comments if you want to have Coach Rob back on the podcast because we
Oh,
could
we
go
could talk
dive
about the Call of Duty and the downfall. We could talk like if you want to talk just
hours.
games, we can get into just games too. So
Exactly. Yeah. So you guys let us know what you want to hear because I think Rob, you've been fantastic. So I would love to have you back too. So gosh, this has been so good. And we do end the show the same way every time. And you've already answered it, but of course we have to ask again, which is what is your favorite video game?
that would be the Elder Scrolls. I love that game, man. That's a
Oh,
classic. That's a banger that never dies.
yeah, I don't think they've topped it since, right? So a lot of the whether it's Bethesda or whether some of the similar games that come out, it's like they compare everything gets compared back to Skyrim, especially. It's just like,
I did
come on,
put some
guys.
mad hours into Elden Ring, and I'm always on call. I'm probably a diehard, one of the last diehard Call of Duty fans. But I don't think the new game's going to be that good. But that's probably for another episode.
That'll
So,
be for another episode. You guys let us know. All right. Well, Rob, again, thank you so much for being here. This has been fantastic. And everybody, thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for listening. And remember, stay awesome, and I'll see you in the next one.